Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 21st of June. So, what we've got in store today, in terms of news-wise, we've got very little actually. Whoops, he says he just pulls the wrong thing across. Let's start again. There we go. Today, Monday, we've got retail sales, Australian retail sales. Well, we've already, should I say they've already had them, but I just noticed a little source issued an interim release to cover the impact of COVID. Okay, not actually seeing the data there. It's 2:30 a.m. Unless I just need to refresh that, and it will give me it. There you go. And we've got President Lagarde speaking at 3:15 this afternoon. Due to testify a virtual hearing before the European Parliament Economic and Monetary Affairs Committee. It will be interesting to see if anything more comes out of when they start testifying, whether she actually is asked a little bit more regarding the tapering, etc., of what the central bank are doing at the moment, and the liquidity they're providing. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes through on these early speeches, particularly now the US have put their, they've shown that there could be things ahead, or more things earlier than expected, I should say, happening, and that's why we're seeing this strong US dollar at the moment. Just looking ahead to today, we've got Fed chair speaking tomorrow. He's testifying tomorrow evening, so nothing much else, just looking ahead a little bit there. So there we go. That's where we're sitting on the news front. Okay, let's have so basically nothing that we can deal with. So let's have a look at the technicals then. Starting off as ever, looking at forex markets, and well, the euro slips back off some more as we led into Friday, but not so much. We've seen a slowing down. We saw the initial sort of bigger move, and then a slowdown of movement there, and well, a little bounce at the moment this morning. We'll see if that can come into much. Personally, when I'm looking at these sort of bounces, I start looking at, well, where's it likely to run up to, and then find some resistance. So I'm sort of looking at on a daily bar here. Well, you've got the likes of 21, the 8 and the 200 sitting up there at 1990. You've got this sort of round number at 1-2, which will be a key line in the sand as we go forward. Before that, though, we've got a weekly pivot sitting there at 1954. So it might be, we've got a bit of divergence going on. We had a bit of divergence across some time frames on Friday. They didn't really get any momentum from these, and well, we could end up the same sort of situation again. I've got the RSI on here at the moment, and you see between the two lows, actually I don't know if it's really pitched any lower. It hasn't by the looks of it, but you're just seeing a little bit of strength coming through regardless here. So it might be that we get a bit more of a movement. We're already into the daily pivot by the looks of the calculations here, if this is correct. So it's edging its way back, and you would think after such a move we could see something more of a bounce at least, even if it could be a complete reversal back up there a little bit, particularly if Lagarde starts saying things that are a little bit more hawkish. But otherwise, we may just get a sort of interim movement before we get a sort of a second push down. Okay, the pound. Watching the pound then, similar strong move down here. Okay, on Thursday we've got the Bank of England meeting coming through there, which might see things reverse a little bit here. They've been a bit hawkish, more hawkish previously, so it'll be interesting to see the reaction to their statements, etc. But before then, leading into that, we'll see how things are. It's always a little bit iffy. Again, we've got this sort of divergence, certainly on this 4-hourly picture here. You can see a bit of divergence kicking in there. That definitely has made a new low in the 4-hourlies there, and it's sort of edging towards its daily pivot. Now it could get stifled. It hasn't actually, and all that move down there hasn't actually managed to get back even to its 60.21. So first test of that could have a bit of reaction. It air kissed it back here. Maybe that's a good enough reaction. But at the moment we're seeing a bit more of a bounce here, and again Patience this morning for me. I'll just see how they start reacting. If they push through these moving averages and get moving, perhaps I will look for a bit of long side. But at the moment, I'm still sort of a bit pessimistic on these markets in the short term, as we see a bit more dollar strength coming through. The yen. The yen's had, when you look at this, I mean, it actually strengthened against it. This is a US dollar yen, remember. It strengthened all 3 days, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2 days last week, Thursday, Friday, beg pardon, and it strengthened again this morning. It's actually come back to its original trend line that's sitting across those lows there. By the looks of it this morning, maybe slightly off drawn on this chart here, but you can see it's taken a bit of a bounce from that already. Well, 4 hours, it's already gone through its weekly pivot there, so getting a bit of a bit of weakness for a moment for the yen. This could all turn back again. I'm just sort of looking at the price action. The price action overall is lower highs, lower lows through the market here. It might be worth watching out to see if this reverses back again. It may not be quite finished. We might have it may be, as I say, just a reaction to that trend line at this stage. It's actually probably slightly shorter than the trend line, but certainly into its daily 21. Well, just watch it this morning. Actually, I'm just sort of looking through these time frames. Maybe it has got a little bit more up there at the moment, but a trend line across the lows there might just sort of signify when it's starting to roll. Okay, Aussie dollar. Now that might be a bit moved to safety with the yen as well, as we sort of seeing money running into the yen, a bit of undecided money that's a bit wary of the whole situation. Aussie dollar's a difficult one here, or has been difficult for weeks and weeks here. It is moving at the moment. It's had a bit of a correction and, well, spiked backwards and forwards here. Not quite diverged the same, but maybe a bit of strength coming through, a bit like the euro really overall. Again, it's one for me to watch, and maybe again, like I was looking at the yen there, just look to draw some trend lines across the lows there and see if it starts breaking those, but just see how it goes. It's quite soft at the moment, the Aussie, and again, a commodity currency always tends to get hit with a stronger US dollar a bit more. Canadian dollar, similar picture in terms of getting hit here. It's like an inverted euro at the moment, which makes sense. Although if you look at the size of the daily bars, they've been sort of pushing up, and it's been getting sort of the Canadian dollar has been getting weaker and weaker effectively, with a big bar up on Fridays, more solid movement. But again, we sort of, it may not be quite a divergence, and it's an inverted euro move again sitting here. Got the potential to roll back off a little bit this morning. Just looking at the price action here, it's quite messy really. But again, in short term, you could draw the lines of the wedge that's sort of sitting there. If it does break to the upside, well, so it's maybe a go with to the upside. It could later on roll back a little bit. I wouldn't be looking to trade it this morning. It just tends to pull people in, the Canadian dollar, in the mornings, and then it may just get down to its daily pivot and bounce. So I'd be patient on that one. Okay, there's the majors. Looking elsewhere then, let's have a quick look then at the. We'll start with the S&Ps. I'm going to bring another chart in a moment, and just keep getting so many questions on the different markets here. I tend to look at the S&Ps. It's just bigger. It's 500 companies involved in it. It's a better overall view of things. There's quite a lot of doom around the equity markets, and I keep on coming back to the weekly, and you just sort of look, and it's relatively a modest retrace so far. Now, of course, this could develop into something else. I'm not a fortune teller. It could develop into something else. When you come down the time frames, it has put lower highs, lower lows through in this current movement. When you look at it on a weekly basis, it's barely shrugged. There's very little movement altogether, so it's sort of barely moved. We could get something a bit more. We've had this outside bar this morning, a break at some point of to the upside of that. Well, would be a bit more bullish as we just trigger into 8 o'clock. To me, would be a bit more bullish, and we could see again, as I'm looking at the currencies, a similar sort of situation here with a pushback, maybe towards the weekly pivots there. I'm not as pessimistic as a lot of people in these markets. As I say, there's a lot of pessimism out there. Looking at the other, actually, I'm just going to bring it. Someone's asked me about the German, the DAX. I don't have a DAX feed as such, so I'm sort of stuck on. Let's just. Looking at a DAX, and again I've just sort of come out to a daily bar here, and it's not really had that bad a time. When you look at it, Thursday it managed a positive day there, then Friday sold off. Today it's bouncing, and yes, the Dow Jones has struggled a lot more. If I bring the Dow Jones in, sorry, that's an hourly chart before you get too worried. We've put it back to a daily chart as well. Yes, it's had a more, I mean, it's been hit a lot more, without any doubt. Whether this is a complete rollover of these markets, as I say, it's just too early to say with a lot of them. Yes, the Dow's been hit a lot more. It's confirmed with a break of the low here, a lower high. Again, it might be just the correction it needed short term. It tends to be a little bit more easily moved. There's 30 stocks in it relative to the 500. Saying that the DAX is only 30, so yep, maybe the Dow is a leading indicator at times, and it is showing us that the weakness in these equity markets. As I say, I'm not really convinced. I would rather test this by looking at the bigger markets, the 500s, etc. So I'll bring this back to a daily as well now, and as I said, it's barely moved anything significantly. So there you go. Anyway, that's my thoughts on the equity markets as they keep getting asked questions on them. Gold has again really rolled over here at the moment. When we look at it on this dailies, it's retraced more than 61.8 or somewhere around 61.8. Again, it's at the moment, it's with this one, it's a little bit clearer. It's got a divergence sitting in the lows there. It might come back up to the weekly. So there's the near term sort of price action. But likewise with the other markets I've looked at, you could be drawing trend lines, start drawing trend lines underneath the current move upwards, and use that as a sort of a level, a line in the sand. If it breaks back below that, well then perhaps we've got a bit more rollover to happen here. So that's gold. Looking further afield then, I can look at the, sorry, I'll bring the, he says I will bring in the, I'm just looking for the right one to bring it in on, Bitcoin. I can actually show you a proper market. Now the cryptos have had a hard old day here of things over the weekend. Well, yesterday wasn't too bad, it ended up positive, but today is just sold right the way off there. I should be drawing trend lines across the lows here, because it's probably sitting pretty close to one if it hasn't just touched it. But it's certainly continued to remain soft as of last week. It's sort of pushed off Thursday, then the weekend it's not really done too much. Again, at this stage it does look soft. It looks like it's got possibly more to come. Looking at the others, Ethereum, that too, lower highs, lower lows through there, and the shorter time frame, I say shorter time frames in the near term price action here even looks soft. Ripple, again, lower highs, lower lows coming through, so again looking soft at this stage, and we're close to some support on all of these markets, but they do, as I said, look quite soft. So there you go. Just a look at elsewhere, the treasury notes. I like to look at what the yields are, and these still are sitting very low. These yields is sort of a big concern. If these are really high, and it may be that they're held back because the US are buying bonds, no treasuries at the moment. But when you look back to where they were We've seen much higher sort of numbers recently when we saw the dollar really pushing up and a real solid movement there. They are low now. It may just be, as I said, buying by government buying or whatever it may be, of these keeping the yields low. But to me, it's things don't all align in these markets at the moment, and perhaps we are due a bit more of a bounce, basically. Okay, that's pretty much it for me today. I'm going to call it a day there. I wish you a great day in the markets, and I will be back as normal in the morning. Bye for now.